Welcome to the Cinemagic Preview Show. On this edition, we'll be reviewing Richard Heap's coming-of-age drama, The Runaways.
Don't like the magic today, Dad. The sun beams.
Magic makes fools of people, Paul.
Ever since our mum left, it's just been the four of us. Well, us and the donkeys. He ain't been the world's greatest dad.
I'm going to stay a while. Give us that 20, I'll give you a toy.
But he's done his best. And it was all we had.
What's wrong? Dad, come on! Wake up!
I want to speak to your dad.
Not here!
I'm sorry. I'm the next of kin. Everything's mine. You've got till tomorrow. Pack up your stuff.
We need to get as far away from here as possible.
Where are we going?
We're going to Mum's.
You what?
Everyone's looking for you guys. Seen the policeman on the TV.
Can't be us.
Maybe I'm mixing up with the 3 children and 2 donkeys I saw earlier.
Hey! Hey!
We need some directions to the next village.
When you lost the money, why are you taking it out on us? You know you're just like your dad. I hate him and I'm glad he's dead. I didn't mean it in that way. Come on, I'm sick of looking after you.
Look after Angie for me, will you? Sometimes the eldest, they get forgotten.
We have to hide.
Is there a stone railway?
We'll catch it. We'll be miles away. Come on, come on. We'll let donkeys on trains.
Ticket.
Angie, I need a poo.
We'll find a tree and you can use the leaves to wipe.
Why are you being so kind to us?
Why? Because fugitives are cool.
Filmmaker Q&A.
The brief plot of the film is that it's about 3 children and a couple of donkeys on the run across the North York Moors. Their father dies unexpectedly just at the same time that their uncle, who's a bit of a badass, returns from prison, and they either stay in town, which is Whitby, and confront him, or they run away, which is the choice they make. Sort of as the film unfolds and the story evolves, you realise that actually the basic underlying themes of it, responsibility and sibling love. And it's got a few funny japes along the way and some really nice emotional moments. It stars Molly Windsor and Mark Addy and Tara Fitzgerald, and they put in and 2 young stars who are up on here, Reese Connor and Macy Shackleton. That's Molly, and they put in some outstanding performances. Their performances are really beautiful. Why I chose to make a family adventure film, and that was because I've been taking my kids to the movies a lot when they were young, and just been to see a lot of animations, and just really wanted to do a live action film that they could imagine being inside. When I was younger, we used to see things like Bugsy Malone, Across the Great Divide. I guess prior to that, there were things like The Railway Children, and I just wanted to do something similar to that the kids could imagine being inside, that they could imagine being one of the characters. It's shot in a really, really beautiful part of the world. We caught it in September when all the heather was out. It's really, really purple, the heather, really beautiful. So, the landscape became a very intrinsic part of it. And because there's so many beautiful spots, it wasn't that hard to find fantastic locations. We wanted to be high up on the moors, sort of when they first escaped Whitby, because we wanted to get a sense of isolation, them being sort of stuck in the wild. And then as it progresses, we move through different landscapes, so we get to sort of bit across the commuter belt, which is the A1, and then we go back into woodlands and things. So there are many challenges during the making of the film, principally because we were filming on location. We did, I think, something like 37 different locations in 30 days, so that was a lot of moving. And then the other thing was, obviously, everyone says don't work with children and animals when you're making a film, and obviously as a first-time director, I just, I guess naivety took a hold of me and thought it would be a good idea. When I first pitched the idea to Mark Addy, he said I was a brave man, but ultimately I think those elements, the children and the donkeys, are really what make the film stand out and makes it feel a little bit different. They bring a lot of character to it. So yeah, working in that way, like the donkeys they're quite stubborn. Often they wouldn't start moving when you wanted them to start moving. They'd be separate. They'd sometimes wander off camera. Sometimes they'd be eating the actors' coats rather than, which would stop things happening again. So lots of things like that. If I had a piece of advice for beginner filmmakers, one, it's that you've got to go out and do it. It's to team up with somebody as well. I mean, I have my producer, Mario Roberto, and I don't think I could have done this without him. Just the fact that you really need a friend throughout the production. It's so challenging. So that's another bit of advice. And then thirdly, it would be to trust your instincts. You have a feel for who you are as a filmmaker. Eventually you find that. So yeah, mimicking other people is great, but still trust in the things that you think make film special or make your work special. Just trust in it. Thank you. Hi, my name's Richard Heap. I'm the writer-director of The Runaways, and this is the Cinemagic preview show.
What do our young Cinemagic reviewers think?
The film that I've watched today is called The Runaways, and this is the first-time feature of director Richard Heap. I think it's a really good start to his feature film career, and I'm excited to see some more of his stuff in the future. It's quite a gritty story about three young siblings who flee to the Yorkshire countryside with their two donkeys to escape their uncle and social services who are trying to track them down after their father dies. It is a film for young people, but it does depict some real hardships and opens up about the struggles of poverty in childhood, but in an accessible and compelling way. And importantly, it doesn't forget to focus on the more joyful elements, childish freedom, family, adventure and laughter. It's deeply rooted within England, specifically Yorkshire, which I really appreciate. I like stories about locals in small towns and interesting in different places. And it's really nice to hear a regional accent on screen as well. You don't really get that very often in mainstream film, so I really like that. It was all shot on location in and around the Yorkshire area, and I think this really helps to give the film character and to ground it in reality as well. The cinematography is beautiful. It really does justice to the countryside. Plenty of stunning vistas overlooking the coast and the hills, purple fields of heather and sunsets with castles in the backdrop. It's really beautiful to look at, and it has a lovely quality of light to the film as well. Lots of lovely rich yellows. It really helps to add some warmth to the film as well. Although I do think it maybe misses the mark with tone. It's meant to be a family film, but the opening act is really quite dark. I think if I were a young kid watching this, I would be a bit scared. It quite openly deals with death and sort of scary family members and poverty, and it is quite a lot in the first bit just to handle maybe as a younger child. And as a result, some of the more lightly comic elements don't really fit in with the tone that was set initially. I think maybe picking one or the other and sticking with it through the whole film would just make it a bit more cohesive overall. But the performances were great, and especially the younger cast, who are the focus for the most of the film. Molly Windsor playing Angie is really one to watch in British TV and film, I think. So overall, I'd give the film a 3 out of 5. I think it's fun, it's moving, but the tone doesn't quite work overall. But I do look forward to seeing more from this director, and I think it can only get better from here.
This film was so beautiful. I don't think there's been a film to come out of England in a way that doesn't have a grey tone, and this was so beautifully coloured. I couldn't get over the locations that they used. They did take my breath away seeing them on my TV. Another thing I love was Molly Windsor's acting. Her acting was very authentic and unique compared to the rest of the kids in that film, and I feel like she done a great job even in the more emotional scenes. One negative thing that I do have to say about the film is that I feel like it sort of dragged on towards the end. However, I will give it a 4 out of 5 stars because it was such a nostalgic film for me.
Hi, my name is Elishka and this is the Cinemagic preview show. I would say that this film mainly fits into the category of children adventure genre. It certainly is family friendly, however it does have moments that are harsh and gritty. When I was watching it, I found myself drawing parallels to classic British cinema of the 50s and 60s with films like The Railway Children or Swallows and Amazons. It's also quite similar to American classics like Stand By Me or maybe more recent classic Captain Fantastic. I really enjoyed the art direction in the film. I generally love the aesthetic of independent films and I found that the shots were really balanced with warm and gritty tones. It also really managed to capture the beauty and severity of the Yorkshire landscape, so much so that it nearly felt like it was another character in the film. I also have to commend the performances of the child actors. They were hilarious and heart-wrenching. Molly Windsor, who plays the eldest sister, was especially excellent, so I'd keep an eye out for her. She's definitely going places. My only negatives about the film was that the pace felt a little bit clunky. I think this might have been down to the dialogue not being properly fleshed out, but I think that can be understood when you have such a young cast. I also felt that some of the scene transitions didn't really make sense sometimes. In terms of filmcraft, I thought the music was amazing. It was really atmospheric and it was a really nice mixture of a fun song selection that was modern and an original orchestral music score. I'd say that the target audience for the film is children and their family. I think it would be enjoyable for any audience, but it's definitely a feel-good film for the family. And I would give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.